There we go. Hey, Penny. Thanks for joining us. Okay, I'm just going to go into my presentation here. Just bear with me a sec. There we go. Okay, how come I can't see myself on here? And where's the chat? Okay. This happened to me last time. I couldn't see my cursor when I opened up my slideshow presentation. So that's okay. I am just going to wing it. Okay, guys, I don't like taking up too much time when I say I'm going to start at a certain time. I like to try to do that just because I know that with other people, you know, sometimes they can wait and wait and wait. I'm just going to go onto my phone and can someone please let me know in the Empowered Movement chat? Let me know if you can see me, because since I did my screen share with the PowerPoint here, I've kind of lost a few things. So if someone could let me know, that would be great. Super, thanks Amanda. I can see and hear you. Wonderful, fantastic. I don't know why I can't see myself, but whatever. I guess I don't need to see myself. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for joining. For those of you who don't know me, I am Carly Eldred's mother. Carly, or yeah, it's Eldred. I want to call her proud, but still. I have been in direct sales for many years. The last 5 years, I've been selling GM vehicles and done exceptionally well. They like to train you in sales, basically to be a shark. You know, you're a shark, you just got to do everything for the sale. And I completely ignore half the stuff that they've tried to teach me, because I believe that the secret to sales is treating people the way that you want to be treated. And that's just so, so important. And having integrity. And don't think of yourselves as salespeople, think of yourselves as problem solvers. Now, the cool thing that I like about Enagic is that we have a product that absolutely every person on the planet needs. You know, they just don't know it yet. So that it's kind of different. I mean, my sales process, I mean, you can use it to sell a pen, a phone, a car, you know, whatever. But the cool thing is that with water, everybody needs it, you know, so it's just a matter of getting them to realize they have a problem so that you can solve it for them. So in a nutshell, anyway. Okay, perfect. Oh, thank you, Amanda. That's so nice of you. Just looking at your note there. Anyway, guys, let me just go on to my next slide here. So tonight we're going to get into prospecting, and prospecting is something that's different than leads. So let me just share this part here. So basically tonight we're going to cover, you know, what is a prospect, because there is a difference between a lead and a prospect. We're going to start covering first the warm market prospecting. And then step number 3, which I find is a step that so many people, they just forget, they just don't do, and that is creating a prospecting action plan. That's just a name I gave to it. And then the next thing we're going to cover after that is we're basically going to get into the art of listening communication, because the number one skill that a good salesperson has is they are a good listener. And when you're fully listening to someone, not only are you picking up information from them that you can use to analyze and figure out, you know, what's going on, but you're gaining trust, because everyone likes to talk about themselves. And when you're asking questions and whatnot, and you're listening and the person feels heard, you're going to gain that trust quite a bit quicker. So let's just dive in here. So a prospect, we all know what leads are. We're all doing the online thing. And some of this information that I'm going to teach you, it contradicts some of the stuff that we do online. So a prospect, so the difference between a lead and a prospect is a lead is someone who has reached out to you. So they've responded to an ad, maybe they've heard about you, but generally a lead is someone who has reached out to you for some particular reason. A prospect is someone who you believe would benefit from what you are promoting. So a warm prospect, those are people that you already know. And then cold market prospects, those are people that you don't know yet. So for example, you're standing in a lineup at the bank and you're just chit-chatting with someone, that's a cold prospect. If your next door neighbor, if you're thinking that they're going to benefit from your products or services, that's a warm market prospect. So warm market prospects, that's what we're going to start with, because number one, they're people that we already know. And when you're new to prospecting, and this is where the contradiction with what we learn with online marketing comes into play. In online marketing, we say we don't have to bug our family and friends. Well, when you're learning how to do warm market prospecting, you want to start with people that you know and people that you feel will support you by listening to what it is that you have to present. You want to pick someone in the beginning who you know is just going to sit there and listen to you, and just let you be yourself, and they don't necessarily have to buy from you or agree from you. You just want somebody that is going to listen to you as you're so-called practicing, but at the same time you're getting your point across. They're listening to a presentation, but we're going to get into that later. Again, contradicting what we learn with our online marketing is never be afraid of what family and friends will think. You have to let your fears go. It does not matter if your friends and family think that you're crazy. Who cares? They're not the one putting in the time. They're not the one with the dreams. They're not the ones that are taking action towards their passions. Don't worry about what they think. That is the biggest reason why we're going to start with a warm market prospect. So, like the quote that I have here is, selling is not something you do to someone, it's something you do for someone. Nobody wants to be sold. Like, I don't like being sold, and I'm a salesperson. But I do like having my problem solved, and I do like learning information that is going to help my life be a little bit better. So that is what is so important with what we are doing, is we need to be able to solve problems and present ourselves as problem solvers. So prior to this video, we had talked about becoming a product of the product, understanding all of the machines, so that when you do have a prospect, you can kind of think to yourself, okay, what's the best machine that I should present to them? And it's also important to know how to do a water demo. Basically all the Enagic stuff. Drink your water, become a product of the product, have your own story, know your products. I've said this before, if you're really wanting to do this part as a business, get yourself a domain and link it to one of the EWS sites, the Enagic sites. You get a free one when you purchase any product. I'm just not a fan of that free one. And the upgraded ones are so awesome because it gives you all the prices there. People, you can just send them your website and they can go and check it out. That is very contradictory to what most salespeople are taught. We're always taught in the sales industry not to give prices right away. Well, I tell you, I'm living proof with my successful career in car sales that I'm honest with people. If they want something, I give it to them. And they seem to respect that. And it's no different than if I had a question wanting to know a price, I would tell them. So by sending them, a link to your EWS website, you can tell them where the products are. They can look them up for themselves. They can do that research for themselves. They can see how much the costs are. And then when you go to follow up, your customer's already been educated. You don't have as much explaining to do because they've already done a bit of research, and you can just carry on with that. So all those things were prerequisites in the last training video that I did. So it should be posted in the groups, or if you need it, just reach out to me and I can definitely, send you a link. Anyway, here is one of the biggest things that most people in sales miss, and that is creating a prospecting action plan. And one of my favorite things in this business, little quotes, is a dream without a plan is only a wish. And that pertains to everything, whether you're online marketing, direct selling, planning a vacation, your dream home, whatever it is. Everything needs to have a plan. Plan to fail, No, how's that go? Fail to plan, plan to fail, right? So if you make yourself a plan and you execute that plan, you put action towards it, you put the proper thought process towards it, the good energy towards it, and you are going to come out on the other side with success. So one of the biggest things that I know Carly has taught at some of her events and that she has learned throughout her years, and she's gone to a lot of different events, by the way. The Ignite event that they're having is going to be fantastic. I sent her and her sister went to events starting at 14 years old. So they've been to a lot. They know how a good event should be run and how to add value. So one of the things that she taught at, I think it was the Diamond Movement event last year, was on creating SMART goals. So we're going to talk about creating SMART goals. We're going to be creating a warm market prospecting list. We're going to categorize that list, and we're going to research those prospects. So I can't remember how my slides go, so let me just go to the next one here. So creating SMART goals. So you basically, with your SMART goals, you're going to decide, you need to decide how much money you want to earn in a specific period of time. And then, because we're selling a Magic, so you figure out how much money you want to earn. Then you need to determine how many machines, or if you were looking at rank advancements, how many points, again, would go to machines or products, would you need to sell to reach that goal? So when you're using the SMART goal structure, it will allow you to better identify your goals to your specific needs. So the first of the SMART goals is specific. And one of my favorite things is the 5W questions, and this can pertain to anything in life that you're having issues trying to become clear on. What do I want to accomplish? Why is the goal significant? Who is involved? Which resources or limits are involved? And when do you want to achieve these goals? So for example, what do I want to accomplish? Okay, so I want to earn an extra $1,000 this month. Okay, why is that goal important or significant? Well, maybe for me, it's because that's what I need to rank up to my next level in the Enagic system. Who is involved? Now, if you have a spouse, a lot of times, as some of you have realized with our online marketing, sometimes our spouses aren't always on board, and sometimes they are. So you always have to consider who is involved in your decision making and who does it affect, and make sure that you include them. It just makes life so much easier if you do include them. Now, resources, and are there any limits that are involved? So for example, are you on a budget? If you have a budget, then you need to figure out, okay, how many dollars can I afford to spend on this? Are there investments needed? Are you going to need, are you wanting to purchase maybe an extra machine so that you can, give it to people to sample for 30 days? Or maybe you need a new computer, or maybe, you want to spend the money to invest in business cards or brochures or something like that. So those are important things to consider. And then, of course, one of the most specific ones is, when do you want to achieve these goals? Setting a timeline or a deadline on things is so important because it helps give us some forward motion, right? So then the next of the SMART goals is measurable. So that means that your goals are meaningful and motivating, as well as trackable. So measurable goals address questions such as, how many, how long. So example, a measurable goal would be to talk to at least 5 new people each week. And by the way, that's a really good goal to start with when you're first starting out, is 5 new people a week. What I do in my business every day is I have a goal of 25 to 30 every day, 5 days a week. That's what I do at the dealership. And these are new people, or I shouldn't say new. Some of them maybe I've talked to like a couple years ago or something. But anyway, I think you get the idea. It's measurable. So when you use a goal like 5 people in a week, that's something that's trackable. That's how many, you've stated how many and how long it's going to take you to do that. So the next we have in our SMART goals is achievable. Are the goals attainable and realistic that you've set for yourself? You can say, oh, I want to make $1 million in 6 months. Well, It's possible, but is it realistic? Is it attainable? Yeah, maybe not in 6 months. I don't know. But make your goals. You want them to be big. Carly always says set scary goals, because on your way to working towards those scary goals, you're going to get past some other little mini goals there. So try to make your goals realistic, but yet let them scare you a bit, right? And an achievable goal is something that takes some effort, but it's not impossible. You don't want to set a goal that's just like super easy and doesn't take very much work from you, because that's not really a goal. It really isn't. It's got to have some effort. You have to start creating new habits of pushing forward with your business, because these businesses that we're involved in, there are people making millions of dollars a year, and they started the same way that we are right now at the beginning. And you need to treat this as $1 million company. You can treat this as $1 billion company if you want to, but treat it like a company. If you're going to run your business as a hobby, it's going to pay you as a hobby. But if you run it as a business and you learn all the things about running a business, including your taxes and just selling techniques and communication skills, all that stuff that goes into creating a very successful company, you will start to see that success for yourself. Okay. So the last part of, well, it's not the last, it's the almost the last part of the Small Girls here, is relevant. When I created these slides, I was trying to get them all on there, but I wanted to make sure that the wording was readable, because when I'm watching webinars, I like to take screenshots of things so that I can go back and I don't have to take so many notes. So to bear with me here. But anyway, relevant goals are reasonable and they are results based. A relevant goal is worthwhile and meets your needs. And each goal should be consistent with your other goals so that they complement each other to produce a desired outcome. So basically, when you're setting goals, okay, I'm going to talk to 5 new people each week. Well, one of the reasons for that is that maybe one of your goals is to sell a machine each week. So you need to be consistent with the 5 people in the hopes that that you're working towards selling a machine, and the desired outcome, of course, is earning an income, ranking up, whatever it is that your goal is there. So take some time, and this actually takes a bit of time to go through and do SMART goals. And I would highly recommend every 30 days to go back and review them and keep track of where you're at, because sometimes you're reaching these little mini goals and you haven't even realized it and you haven't taken time to celebrate it. But when you actually go back every 30 days, look at your goals, see how far you've come, and it's like, woohoo, hey, I did that happened. And you're just going to get a lot more reward out of it. Time based, and I just mentioned this here a few minutes ago, is that your goals really need to have a time frame attached or a deadline. And something else that Carly taught is sometimes people, they will set their goal for today or 30 days or whatever. When she did the SMART goal training at the Diamond event, like she said, where do you want to see yourself in a year from now? Where do you want to be in 6 months from now? 6 weeks from now? What do I want to achieve this week? So start with, when do you want to achieve your goal? And what do you want to be? Where do you want to achieve in 6 months? So work backwards. It sounds silly, but it's a lot easier than going from today till next year. If you set your 1-year goals and then you break them down, it's like, okay, I think I can do this. If I set a 1-year goal that, I want to be, I want to be a 6A. I just started and I want to be a 6A in a year. Okay, so where do you need to be in 6 months? Okay, well, in 6 months, then you want to be a 3 or a 4A, right? I'd say probably a 4A of 6 months. And then you're breaking it down even further. What do I want to achieve in 6 weeks from now? Okay, well, I want to be 2A in 6 weeks. What do I want to achieve this week? Okay, well, this week I want to talk to 30 different people, and I want to have, some active prospects who are very interested in my product. They're pre-qualified, they're ready, I'm working with them. That's what I want to achieve this week. But what do I want to achieve today? Well, today, maybe I just want to get my prospecting list created. Okay, so do you see how we've kind of done that? We've gone backwards from, say, a year to 6 months to 6 weeks, that sort of thing. It just helps put things into a little bit of perspective. And of course, setting your deadlines, super important. Get your day timer. If you have a goal for 6 months, put it in there and remind yourself, like, let's say, what is this? September, October, November, December, January, February, March. Okay, let's say like March of 2020, I want to be 6A. So what you would do is you would go in your day timer, and then in 3 months from now, you're going to put, okay, I want to be 4A by then. And each month you're going to break down your little goals so they align with that goal you did in 6 months from now. I hope that makes sense. So beginning, setting the long-term goals, and then work backwards. So that's basically what I've said. Once you have an idea of what you are wanting to create in your business within a specific time frame, start breaking the goals into smaller, more manageable tasks that will complement each other and build momentum. Next on our list, and I kind of get a good giggle because when I'm on Instagram or I'm on Facebook or whatever platform it is, and I see all these millennial people, and hey, I love you guys, don't get me wrong, but I always see them saying, oh, you don't have to build lists. The days of building lists are over, blah, 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 blah. Work smarter, not harder. Well, I'm here to tell you that lists work. They've been around for a long time. I was very fortunate to, I've had a few MLM companies. My last one, my ex-husband and I built, and we had 20,000 people in our downline. And we learned how to build that business. We were not using the internet back then at all. We did it all through prospecting lists, the old-fashioned way. I did it through one-on-one presentations, through hotel meeting presentations, wherever I could do a presentation, a napkin, Yes, I was that lady. I was able to do that. So I get a good chuckle out of Facebook and Instagram ads where they, don't have to build lists and don't waste time. Well, you know what? Even in my car sales, I have lists. I have a book that is mine that I write everything in, and I have made a lot of money out of that list. So if you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it. This information that I'm sharing with everybody is just in case you decide you want to try it, but I'm here to tell you that it does work. This stuff worked back then. It still works now. And there's nothing wrong with old-fashioned ways of doing everything. But basically, when you're creating your warm market prospecting list, you're going to be making a list of literally every person you know or you've ever met that you can remember. And when I'm training new dealership people, I will have them make out their list. They'll write it all down. And then I'll have them go through Facebook and their Facebook friends. And then I will just have them go through random Facebook. And then I even get them to go through the phone book. And believe it or not, it's amazing how those things will jog your memory about people that maybe you haven't seen for a while. We all have friends that we've drifted apart. They're still friends, but we just haven't seen them for years or maybe even thought about them. Put them on your list, right? If they come to mind, put them on your list. You want every single person, because every single person on this planet needs water to survive. So building a list of potential customers should be super easy, super easy. I mean, for me, it's not, my car sales, not everybody can drive or has a car or has a license. But with Enagic, everybody needs water. So this is a list that is going to take you a lot of time to develop. And there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can just literally put everybody in order and then go back after and maybe categorize with a blue or a red to mean whatever. And I'll get back into that in a second. But basically lift everyone that you know. And you can begin by listing the people closest to you that you feel will support you by listening to what it is you have to say. Right? So trusted family or friends, that sort of thing. And then you're going to list the people you know in order of how well you know them. And then after you've built your list, you're going to categorize them. And this is where I say you can have a whole list of people. And if you just took, like, say, red, green, and blue, and you're going to put a green dot on everyone that can use a household machine. You know, they're going to want a machine for personal. And they're going to say put a red dot for anyone that's business. And then, excuse me, a lot of those business people really should be getting another color for both the personal and business, because if they have a business, they also have a home, right? So that list is going to take you some time. I like using like I don't have one here, like an address book that has the like, you know, A, B, C, all that. I really like those. And I use a lot of those sticky notey things. Of course, I don't have one here. But I like that for using my list, or for building my list. And I'm always adding to my list. I started my list at the dealership 5 years ago, and I can't believe how big that list has gotten every year. I just keep expanding and expanding on it. And like I said before, that book of that list that I have has made me a ton of money. And it can do this for you in this business as well. So when you're making your list of people, so let's say, I don't want to overwhelm you too much, but let's just say you got 100 names on there. I mean, I expect everyone to have hundreds, but, you know, start with 100. Maybe make it one of your goals this week that you're going to put 100 names on a list. And when you start looking at those names, you're going to think about that person, because a lot of them you're going to know. Some you're going to know a lot better than others. And before you approach any prospect, and I can't stress this enough, I really, if you were my employees at the dealership and I was training you, I wouldn't let you talk to any prospects until we're further into this training. Some people would call it, when you talk to someone, they would call it practicing. I look at it as a waste. You've wasted a prospect, because you have one opportunity to make a good first impression. So the best thing you can do is learn all the basics. You can make your list, and you've done all your prerequisite stuff. We're going to talk more later about, how to, basically ice-breaking conversations, how to call people up and get them to listen to a presentation. I would wait until you learn that stuff before you attack any of your prospects and start trying to sell them on a water machine. If you wait, I promise you, you're going to make a much better first impression. You're going to have much more confidence, and you're going to experience much more success. A lot of sponsors in some of the businesses and stuff I've been in will say, talk to as many people as you can. And I have used this example myself, where I say, if I had a crystal ball, and in my crystal ball, I say, oh, once you've talked to 500 people, you're going to crack the code, and, it's just going to explode for you. Well, how quickly would you talk to 500 people? You'd probably be telling as many people as you could, because you'd want to rip through those 500 people, right? That is an analogy that I like in some ways, but at the same time, until you have your confidence, until you have the understanding of the process, and until you know how to handle objections, don't talk to any prospects. If you got to wait a couple of months, okay, that's okay. Because I promise you, by the time you do take those steps, you're just going to go tickety-boo with all of them. But if you start doing it now before you're really ready, you're going to waste some of them, because you don't always get a second chance to do a presentation. But I'm going to teach you how to get that first presentation, how to be killer at it, how to close, how to handle objections, but most importantly, how the power and follow up. Okay. So back to our lists. I just wanted to get that out of the way about not talking to people yet, because it's so important. Every person that is on our list has some kind of pain point. Maybe it's financial. Maybe it's some kind of an illness or disease. There's a lot of different pain points out there that our water machines and our products and our company and our business opportunity, that they can solve, right? So one thing I really need you to do is, you need to take time to determine what your ideal prospect, personality, and financial situation is, right? Because I mean, you're going to have people that are financially able to just, yeah, no problem, I'm going to put a credit card, use a credit card for my machine. You're going to have some people that want to finance it. You're going to have some people that have challenged credit and can't finance it. Maybe they need to, we need to look at different solutions for them. The personality, if there's someone that is very, very close-minded to things, you're going to put them at the bottom of your list so that when it comes time to approach them, you got so much more confidence and you got so many more presentations under your belt. So by the time you get to that particular difficult personality, you're ready for them, right? So this is so important to find your own little code of figuring out how you're going to, list your prospects as far as, personality or financial. I mean, I've had people make spreadsheets before, that sort of thing. The other thing too is, are they open to the idea of using new technologies? I mean, I'm totally not open to technology, but at the same time I am, just because I know it's just the way of the world and I have to change with it. And there's a lot of people that are like me. I mean, I'm a Generation X. I'll be 52 here pretty soon. And, here I am doing this Zoom and having this meeting, and I don't even know where my cursor is to get out of it or to do anything. So when the time comes, that's, at the end of this is going to be interesting. But there are people who are like me who are afraid of technology. And so you have to be able to put them at some place on your list too, or you need to be able, I think with those people, be able to demonstrate a machine to them, not just, give them a video. I mean, you can give them a video of you maybe showing how easy the machines are to hook up and to use, that sort of thing. But keep in mind that you need to categorize those people too, because it's a water technology that we are selling, promoting. And back to the financial means, if you've got people that, I've got a few people that really want machines. I've had people join my business who really wanted them, couldn't afford it. And then lo and behold, months, even a year later, wham, they're ready. They found the cash or, co-signer, or they figured out a way. I had one of my customers, one of my people who joined my business, because I sell vehicles, we can overfinance vehicles. So this fella ended up purchased a new truck so that we could overfinance and cut him back a check so that he could purchase a trifecta, right? So there's all different kinds of ways to do things. It's just basically getting people to be open-minded as to what it is that we're offering. And one of the biggest things is you need to decide if the person is someone that you would enjoy working with, or are they needy and potentially time consuming. I work pretty much by appointment only at the dealership now, just because I'm very busy with referrals and repeat customers and things like that. And I have a few customers that there isn't enough money in the world that I would ever take them on again, because they're so needy and they take up so much of my time. I greatly appreciate them. Don't get me wrong. I really appreciate them. But if you have someone, especially someone that is thinking about considering joining your business, they like the idea of the water, they're thinking of a business, especially when you're getting into direct sales. There's a lot more training with direct sales than there is with the online. It's a different kind of training. And you need to consider that your time is very, very valuable. So consider the people that you're bringing onto your business. It's okay to launch them. It's okay to pass them on to someone else, right? You need to be picky with your business. I mean, if you had a McDonald's store or your restaurant or something, you're not going to take every person that hands in a resume. You're going to be kind of picky. So do the same with your Enagic business. Be picky. Don't be desperate. So many people in the beginning, all they want is they just want to, they want to sign people on, and they don't care who they are as long as they sign and they buy. Whoa, take a second, interview the person, ask them some questions, try to get a feel. Now, if you're working your warm market, then you already kind of have a bit of an idea about these people. But please, please, please be picky on who you bring on board to your business. Because trust me, there's a lot of people out there that you don't want them in your business, right? Lovely people, but for whatever reason, you just don't want to deal with them. And one of the biggest things too is when you're looking at your prospecting list is determine any problems that you know of so you can present the solution. And as I mentioned before, we are problem solvers. So with our lists and that stuff behind us, where are we at here for time? Perfect. I like keeping my meetings to like 45 minutes to an hour. I don't like long ones. One of the biggest skills, most important skills there are in sales, or just being a human being really, is listening. So it's the number one quality of a successful salesperson is the ability to guide meaningful conversations in the direction you need so that you can gain information to better understand your prospect. You discover their problems by perfecting the art of listening. You basically sell the problem you solve, not the product. You're not selling water machines. You're solving or you're selling a solution to dehydration. You're selling the solution to someone with psoriasis. You're selling the solution to someone who is broke. You're selling the dream to someone who is looking for a dream, right? So sell the problem that you're solving, not the product. And there is a really, really great podcast by Ed Mylett, and it's on listening. And it's one of my favorites. It really resonates with me whenever I hear it. And he explains a little bit differently, so it's easy for a lot of people to understand. So check him out, Ed Mylett. I love him. He's fantastic. You can find his podcast. You can find him on Instagram. I listen to his podcast every day. And he's really into the art of listening. So listening is the ability to identify and understand what people are saying, right? So listening leads to the understanding of facts and ideas. And listening avoids miscommunication during interaction. Listening helps to gain new knowledge needed for our problem solving. Listening improves relationships. And listening just plain old makes others feel good. It makes them feel accepted and heard, which goes a long ways to building trust. And something that I do at the dealership is I never push people. I don't care if it takes them 2 years to buy a vehicle. I start by listening to them. And how I do that is I start by asking questions. So I'm going to ask them questions. So let's say that I have a lady, like for today, I had a lady come onto the lot and her and her mother were there and she bought a $30,000 truck. I said, okay. So I asked her, so what kind of driving do you do? If we did something, if I found you the perfect vehicle, or I could rephrase it as when I find you the perfect vehicle, are you going to cash or are you going to finance? So anyway, in the questions I asked her, she divulged to me she's a single mom. She needs to finance. She needs this, 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 and this. And then every time I would ask her a question, it's important for me to shut my mouth and let her answer. And when she's finished talking, then I can ask another question. So for example, let's say with the water machines, let's say it's a single mom. Let's say that she has a child with autism and she's heard that our water, can help with some of the symptoms that the child is, or not symptoms, but you know what I mean, the things that the child is dealing with. And so she's interested in this. So then I find out how old they are. I find out, are they interested in sports? Like I try to ask lots of questions so that I'm getting a big picture of who this person is, what her life is like, and where I think she would fit into my sales process. Because some people, I'm not going to do a presentation right off the bat. Sometimes it's just like our leads with our online marketing. Sometimes I'm just going to keep building and building and building on that relationship, and I'm building trust. Because as we already know from our online training, we want people to know, like, and trust us. And once they trust us, they will take the advice that we have to offer and will usually jump on it. And sometimes that takes a long period of time to gain that. Some people, it's right off the bat. Um, at the dealership, I get teased a lot from upper management that, I have all the Lulus for customers. Like, I have a lot of very strange people that other salespeople can't deal with, or other stores, couldn't deal with them. And I find what really works is I just talk to them. I don't try to sell them anything. I flat out say to them, I'd really like to know a little bit more about you so that I can make, the best presentations that I can to you. And so I just ask them questions. And like I say, everybody loves to talk about themselves. So ask questions. I mean, you can even write out questions, and that's maybe actually something I might add as a document or something. What kind of questions to ask, especially pertaining to a NAGIC? What kind of health concerns do you have? Because if you can get people to talk about their health concerns, then sometimes you can make their problem all of a sudden seem even bigger. Maybe they didn't even realize they had a problem. But if you've done your prerequisite training and you understand how to explain dehydration, like 75% of the Earth's population is dehydrated. A lot of people just don't understand. So if you can bring a problem to their attention that they have that they didn't even realize by asking questions, you're halfway there, because you're going to be able to offer a solution to that problem which you've just brought to their attention that they have. So you haven't created the problem, you've just made them aware of it, right? So that's why I'm a big believer in learning how to talk to someone about dehydration, understanding how like what it does to the body, how you can tell, whether it's the color of your urine or your skin, or or whatever. So all those kind of questions that you're asking, you're going to be quiet after you ask them, and you're going to listen. And one of the biggest things that you really, really have to do is do not interrupt people. Sometimes when people they're talking and you're like, oh, what's that word I'm looking for? The worst thing you can ever do is finish their sentence or come up with that word. Because you just stole that conversation from them. That was their word they were trying to come up with. Let them finish. Learn to be comfortable in the awkward silence sometimes. Let them finish, right? The other thing too is when you're talking, and I think I might have this on the next slide. Yeah, there we go. So, you really want to give your attention to someone. I mean, let's say I'm talking to you right now and I'm looking at my phone, blah, 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 blah. That's not nice of me. It's rude, for starters. Give individual attention to the person. Don't be looking around. Don't look at your phone. Look at the person, right? Don't interrupt. We've already discussed that. Maintain eye contact. Eye contact, most people are okay with it. There's a few people who aren't okay with eye contact. So when I when I come across a person who they won't look me in the eye, they're always looking away, I don't follow and make sure I'm looking in their eyes. I will look at their nose. And I know this sounds silly, but for those people, I break them in by looking at their nose. So not staring them in the eyes, because some people are just really uncomfortable with it. Those are people that are usually very insecure. And you have to be able to distinguish those people, like the people who are okay with it and not okay with it. Because the people who are not okay with it will become recluse, and you won't be able to get through to them. But you still want them to feel like you are looking at them and giving them your attention. So look at their nose. right? With those people, look at their nose. And eventually, you're going to see as they start to trust you and they start to like the person who you are, they're going to start one day, you're going to notice that they look you in the eyes and you're getting them, right? So that's one of my favorite tricks is, yes, look most people in the eyes, but when you can tell you got a person that's not into that, look them in the nose, right? And if you're sitting in a restaurant, or at a desk or something, lean in, make it seem like you're really interested, right? Don't be yawning. Don't be tapping your fingers or playing with your keys or fidgeting. Just like really look at them, and you've got to be careful with your emotional responses sometimes. Maybe they're talking about some kind of drama situation or something negative. You got to be careful that you're not rolling your eyes or taking a sigh, right? Now, if they're telling you something very sad, they're in a, someone's just passed away, they got something, then it's okay to like, go like that. I didn't speak. I just kind of went like that, right? Paying attention to body language as well too, and being genuine. So if and I find this more with like older men, right? Where they plump down at my desk and they're like this, right? So they're very guarded. This is a very defensive mode of body language. And you never, ever, there was one instance, and I'll tell you, but basically you don't ever want to do this because you're intimidating and you're threatening, right? So you've got to be very, very careful of body language. I will tend to mimic people's body language. I will mimic also their tonality and some of the things that they say. But when it comes to body language, I mean, if I got someone that's really kind of, slumped over like this, I'm not going to be quite as mimicking, but I'm also not going to be like, hey, like overpowering with my body language, right? I want to be kind of somewhere in the middle. You never want to overpower someone's body language with your own, right? The only time that I ever do that, pardon this, is when I have an asshole. If I'm dealing with someone, especially at the lot, someone I've never met before, and I sell a shit ton of trucks. So when I have a guy come on the lot that doesn't want to deal with me because I'm a woman and he's like, going like this, then I will occasionally, I don't know if you can see, I will put my fists on my hips and be like this, because this is also another challenging, intimidating position. And I only do that a couple times a year. But what I'm doing is, in a sense, it's mimicking. And it's like, oh, no, you don't. You are not going to treat me that way. I don't do it right off the bat with those guys. I try to just be myself as much as I can. And I got to tell you, I've always been able to win those people over. And what I love about this effective listening and body language and all this kind of stuff is you can practice it all day, on anyone. I have days where when I'm doing training, well, I will get my new salespeople to, okay, at the end of the day, you're going to tell me about 5 different conversations you had. And before you have those conversations, I want you to give me a list of information that you're going to get out of the person. And so at the end of the day, like today, one of my new guys, right? I said, okay, give me your list. And so he had these different things he was trying to get out of the person. What do they do for a living? What do they like to do for hobbies? What kind of music they like, what kind of food they like, and what kind of movies. And those don't sound like things that would be something pertaining to car sales or to a Enagic sales. But what those things did is, and my trainee didn't realize it until after we were talking about it, is he got the information, he was able to have conversations and get the information. Then when I explained to him, the reason that I asked you to do this is because now you can combine all those answers and you're getting a good feel for what that person is really like. You're getting to know them, right? So, when there's the different stages, so let's on this slide here, the different stages of listening. So you're isolating the speaker's message from all other sounds and you interpret what is being said. That's the receiving part. So when you're actually listening, you're not listening to the neighbor's conversation and you're trying to basically hearing what's being said and interpret what is being said. Okay? A big thing that a lot of people miss out on is they pretend that they understand. But it's totally okay if you don't understand, then ask for clarification, right? It's okay. Sometimes you can say to someone, I'm just trying to understand here. Is this what you're trying to say to me? And then they can, either say yes or no, or put it into different words for you. The remembering stage, this is one of the toughest for me. I can introduce myself to someone and they tell me their name and 2 minutes later I have forgotten. And I try the rhyming things. I try repeating it, and it's just my memory. It's just the way it is. I don't want to affirm anything or bring anything into my creation or attraction that I have a bad memory. But let's just say I'm working on improving my memory every day. Okay. So you want to mentally keep track any information that you are receiving when you're listening to your prospect talk so that it can help you identify any potential problem, and therefore later when you offer your solution you can go back to that psoriasis that you were telling me about, blah blah blah. Okay. And then evaluating, that's where you're kind of bringing into play, and it's a little bit of judging, which I'm not a huge fan of, but it is an important point. So you're trying to determine if the person who is speaking, if what they're saying, if their points are valid, and then mentally review and summarize what has been said. So you're basically going, okay, is this person legit? Is this person being real and genuine? Or is this person just off their rocker, right? And this is where it would come into play where you don't want to work with them, or you do, whatever. And then responding. So responding is the fifth stage of listening, where you're giving the speaker regular feedback to display that you're interested and you're using active listening skills. Okay, so for example, when you're leaning in, or if you're telling something sad and you're like, something like that is going to show that you're listening. It shows that you're interested, and it's keeping them engaged with you. So active listening, and I use, there's the 3 different degrees of active listening. There's repeating, paraphrasing, and reflecting. And I use all of these. And over time, the more you practice, you will learn which one you need to use. So repeating is repeating the message using exactly the same words as the speaker. So for example, I have to stop saying so. For example, if I have a customer that uses the word, there was a girl last week, everything was literally this and literally that, literally this. So when she was telling me about her problem, when I repeated the problem back to her, I said something to the effect of, so you are literally at your wit's end because you literally just can't decide what decision to make. Like I'm mimicking some of her speech there, and I'm repeating the same words that she used. Okay, someone that is like that, and you will pick up on them right away. Just start practicing listening. Do it everywhere. Do it at restaurants. Do it in lineups. Sometimes I will actually go into the bank and stand in a lineup rather than go to the ATM if I have time, so that I can talk to people, so I can prospect, I can network, and I can listen. So practice listening to people. Paraphrasing. So basically paraphrasing is when you're reiterating the message using similar words, phrases, and body language as to the speaker. So it's very similar to repeating, but I find the people that I paraphrase with are generally people who aren't using, what's the word I'm looking for? Like a signature word, like how I just mentioned how the girl was always literally this and literally that. So people who use words repeatedly, different words like that repeatedly, do the repeating, the repeating active listening. The majority of people, you're going to be paraphrasing. And then the one thing that I do quite a bit is reflecting. So reflecting is when you're responding to the message in your own words and structure so that the speaker knows you are relating. So for example, if you have a customer that is thinking of they want to start a business, they're thinking of the water business possibly because, their spouse has been diagnosed with something terrible. And it just so happens that I know someone or someone that I love has been diagnosed with something very similar. So when I'm reflecting, I'm telling that person, I can totally relate to what you're saying. Your spouse has gone through this. My mom's going through the same thing. And some people, I find that reflecting works better when it's something negative in their life, right? I mean, if somebody is just, I'm wanting to buy, for example, in my business, if I'm wanting to buy a new truck because I just want one. Okay, that's not going to be a reflecting thing. Or same as if you have someone who I want to buy a water machine because I know it's good for me. Because there are people like that out there. You're not going to reflect. But if you have someone who's I really need one of these water machines because my 3-year-old has psoriasis so bad sometimes she can't go to school. Though then you're going to use a reflecting statement if it applies to you. So these are all very, very important things to learn when you're starting to get into prospecting, because prospecting is where we're going to make our money, right? And listening is just a huge, huge part of your success. So the communication part that I wanted to go over tonight, what's our time frame like here? 8:57. Okay, we're gonna probably cut her off at communication. So good communication skills are essential to building trust and earning respect, right? When you're a good communicator, people respect you. When we all have podcasts and people we like to listen to, usually it's because they're a good communicator. We enjoy their tone, the pace that they speak at, also, the information, of course, but a lot of it is just how they're communicating. So I got into this earlier where you're asking questions to learn more about your prospect. You find out about them, dig deep. You don't have to go right into a presentation right away. You can take your time, learn more and more about them, let them learn more about you, and that's how you're going to be able to build that trust. And you really need to pay full attention and focus on your prospect when you are communicating with them, and practice your active listening to let your prospect know you are genuinely interested in what they have to say, because sometimes people just want to be heard. It's amazing how many people out there don't have someone to talk to, and it's amazing too at how many things total strangers will divulge to me because I'm listening. They can tell they have my attention, and sometimes they're not getting attention from anyone else. So learn to start being generous with your time and giving people your time and listen to them, right? That's where being empathetic comes in. The body language, I already chatted about that, and, mimicking keywords and tonality. Now, if I have a customer who's really, really, upbeat and kind of loud and boisterous, I will mimic that. I will never go over them, but I will bring my personality. It's like an acting job. I will bring that up and out so that we are relating. Same as if I have a prospect who's very quiet, very reserved, a little standoffish. I will be very calm and quiet with how I am speaking to them because I never want to overpower anyone, right? So that stuff is just super important. This is all important stuff to know. So let me just go over this here real quick, and then I'm going to go off my screen share and check the chat, and just give you a few little ideas for next time. So the summary, so prospecting part 1. So tonight is part 1, because like I said, I don't like to have these things too long. I can't stand training videos that are over, like these 2-hour videos. I love the content, but sometimes it takes me days to get through them. So you want to understand the difference between a lead and a prospect, which I think you already have done now. You want to start working on that warm market prospecting list, right? Easy peasy. That's something that you can, with your SMART goals, You can have that, in a week from today, you want to have 100 names on that list. And you want to be able to categorize a few of them. Are they personal? Are they business? Are they, whatever? You want to be able to identify any problems they may have, and or that you suspect problems they may have. You want to practice your active listening whenever and wherever you have the opportunity. It's the most valuable skill that you're ever going to learn, and it will take you so far in life if you can learn how to do active listening. And engage in meaningful conversations as often as possible, and practice leading the conversations. Okay. I had a gentleman come into the dealership, and he had mentioned something to me about psoriasis with his wife. Anyway, a couple weeks later, wife comes in by herself. I knew who she was, and I knew that she had psoriasis, and I knew that she was there to buy a vehicle. I sat and chatted with her for a while. This was early in the summer actually, and I had a low cut shirt and I had a bit of a sunburn here, and it was a little bit itchy. And I remembered that her husband had said something about psoriasis with her. So I kind of went like this, and I went, after 3 or 4 times of scratching, I said, "Oh God, I hope that's not my psoriasis." Now, this is a little bad. I know. It was, I Anyway, I'll just finish the story. So she says, "Oh, psoriasis, I have psoriasis." And I said, "Well, I've been looking into a few different things, and I'm just kind of wondering, like, what do you do?" So my whole purpose of talking about psoriasis in the dealership when she's there to buy a vehicle was because I was practicing leading her into an enagic conversation. And the really cool thing is by the time I was done with her, we got into a conversation about the water. And I sent her a link to my website, and I have been following up with her, and it's looking really good. So I was practicing with her leading a conversation without her even realizing it. And yes, it was kind of sneaky of me to, "Oh, I hope that's not my psoriasis." I do get psoriasis, or I used to. I don't anymore, but I used to get it on my lower back. So it wasn't a total lie. But I sometimes will say things. I never say a mistruth that will ever hurt anyone. Sometimes I'll say little tiny things to guide a conversation. I don't lie, so to speak. I just guide a conversation. And if you can learn to start practicing those, you will become a pro at conversing with people and having meaningful conversations that you are in control of, right? And that's so, so important. Okay. So I'm going to stop my screen share. I just have to find, there we are. Okay. I don't know where else I went to here. Anyway, I think I'm still there. Um, So just a couple little tidbits. I'm going to get into this more next week. But so one of the things that I do, and I don't want you to do this yet, but just so it's something you can kind of think of in the back of your head. So when I'm teaching people how to reach out to prospects or warm market prospects, the reason that I say to start with people that you feel will support you is that, here's another one of these little tiny white lies, is you can reach out to someone. You can say, "Hey, Susan, I really appreciate when you and I have conversations. I value your opinion, and I'm looking at getting into this new water business, and I'm really torn. I'm undecided, and I'm just wondering if we could schedule some time so that I could share with you what it is that I'm thinking about doing." Right? So it's a way to sneak in a presentation. You want their feedback. You're telling them how you value your opinion, and you want to get their feedback. And so all of a sudden they're feeling like that you think they're an expert and that you think they're good at something. You've complimented them. 9 times out of 10, that person is going to, actually it's probably more like 99% of the time, that person is going to say, "Yeah, no problem." Right? So that's something that I'm going to dive into a little bit deeper with icebreakers on the next one. I don't want to take up too much more of you guys' time tonight. I think, yeah, I think we're good. I think next week you're gonna really enjoy learning about those icebreakers. But all this other stuff that I have been sharing with you guys up until now, it's all important, and it goes together in sequence, right? I can't stress to you enough. You've got to know your products. Product knowledge is key to your success. You've got to be able to communicate properly. You've got to be able to listen properly. And you've got to be genuine with people. And if you can do all those things, people will learn to know, like, and trust you, which we know builds, is going to build a rapport with someone, and you're eventually going to get them. So anyway, guys, thank you for tuning in, and I really look forward to sharing the next bit. I'm super excited to see what's going to happen in the next few months, and if anyone is looking for any more information on the EWS websites, if you're wanting to sell the Enagic, you need one. I'm sorry. I spent $40 US. I did some upgrades. I got like, I don't know, I can't remember which packages I got, but I got the upgrades. I'm looking at hosting some events here in the Kootenays for information meetings, and we're going to be doing a lot of different stuff with the product here in the near future. I do have water bags that I share water, and I'm contemplating purchasing another machine for sharing. I'm just a little torn as to how to go about, if I'm going to charge people for that or not. I think I am. I think I'm going to charge them a deposit, and if they purchase a machine, then they'll get that money off their per machine, or I don't know. I'll figure that out. But I've got a lot of different things that are in the works with this, and I'm always happy to share with anyone. If anyone needs any help, please let me know. But anyway, until next week, guys, I hope you all have a fabulous evening. Get your list created. Make sure your product knowledge is there. Drink your water. Also use it for all the other things like plants and cleaning and all that kind of stuff, so that you become a product expert. One of my absolute favorite Enagic people is a lady by the name of Amanda Bobbitt. And if you check her out on YouTube, she's fan-freaking-tastic. She has new stuff all the time. She's doing some really cool videos. She's just a normal person like all of us are, but I really enjoy her content and what she shares. So have a super evening, and we shall see you on the inside next week. Okay, bye-bye.